Hey guys, welcome to the solution video for the fifth assignment, which is mathematical pairs. Now, just like always, if you have not attempted this on your own yet, I would encourage you to try it on your own first before looking at the solution. And if you're stuck, give it another day or two. Let it simmer. Let your brain work on the problem when you're not thinking about it. It's the weirdest thing, but it works. Your brain is working when you're not, and sometimes the solution just comes to you. You could be sleeping, you could have it in a dream. It happens to me sometimes in a dream, or you know, you'll just be in the shower and it'll just come to you. So, try to use this as a last resort. Try to really do your best to figure out the solution on your own for this problem. Okay, so in this assignment, we are pretty much I'm testing you on a little bit about on strings and on arrays, of course. So what do we want? We want to write a program that is going to prompt a user, okay, to enter numbers between 0 and 100, okay? And then what we want to do is we want to go through all of these numbers and we're going to find all the matching pairs, right? So the matching pairs are going to be, or we have to find the matching pairs and their indices, and we have to save at what index both of them are, right? So if we look at this first example, our matching pairs are going to be 7 and 7, right? So this first one is 0 because that's index 0. And then we have 0 and then 1, 2, and 3. So there we go, 0, 3, right? And then here's another one is 4, 0, 4, which is this 7 and this 7. Then we also have this 5 and this 5. Okay, we have, well, we're going to actually come here again. We're going to have 7 and 7 again. So that's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's going to be this one. And then there's the 5 and 5, which is 2 and 5. So that's 0, 1, 2, and then 3, 4, and 5. And that's this one. So that's kind of how that works. And here's another example with the hundreds. Um, and then also, if they put a number in that is outside of the range, which in this case we have 111 and -1, you're going to say 111 is not between 0 and 100. Please try again. And then same thing here with -1. So I hope that was clear. I hope the instructions were good enough. Um, if you want to, if for whatever reason these instructions were not clear, and if this helped explain the problem to you, then stop the video and go back and try it again. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and get into the solution now. Okay, I have the examples here commented out. And now what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and show you the first thing that I did. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have our prompt. And our prompt is to enter the numbers. And you guys know this, you've seen this in the other assignments. But then the thing that we're going to do is we're going to actually use the split method. And you've seen this in the lecture, what it does. So we're splitting this. We're going to use the space delimiter, or in this case, it's technically kind of like a character. But this is what we're using to separate all of them, all of the different inputs, and that's what how we're going to store it into this nums, and this is going to become the array, a nums array. Then we have to go through and we have to check this this nums array for errors, right? So we got to make sure that all of the numbers that the user input is between 0 and 100. So how do we do that? Well, we write a for loop and we go through and say for, we let I equal 0, I is less than the num's length, which is the length of the array, and we're incrementing it by 1 every time, right? So here we're going to access the ith member of this nums array, which in this case will correlate with the first input, right? Because we told the user to put them in by we're putting in the user is putting in the numbers, and as they're using spaces to separate all of them. So that's how we're splitting all of the numbers up. And then here we're accessing them through the array. So we're saying I, which is going to be the 0th input, I, and then, it's going to go through, the whole length. And this is how you check all of them. And we're going to check each input one by one. And then, here we're saying, okay, is it less than 0 or greater than 100? And if it is, well, we're going to say, okay, this input is not between 0 and 100. Please try again. And then we just return. You guys have seen this return before, similar to break and continue. They're like little control flows, right? So and then you can just return. You can do this other ways. There's other ways to do this. You can have a little flag here, like a Boolean flag that says is valid, and you can assume it's true. And then what you can do is, if it's true, is valid to false, right? And then what you can do is down here, you can check if is valid. We can do all of this other stuff. You can just paste this in here if you wanted to. That's a way to do it as well. There's nothing wrong with doing it that way if that's how you did it. But let me change this back to how I had it. So that is how you do the first part. That's how you do the error checking part. Now, if we make it past this and it didn't hit this return, now we're going to go down to this part of the code algorithm, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to create a pairs array, and we are going to, again, we're going to use a nested loop this time. Now this is a trick to this one, right? You got to do a loop inside of a loop. So this outer loop checks that first item. So for example, I don't know, let me grab this, copy. So we have it up here in frame. Okay, so 7 is going to be checked here, right? So this first one is going to be 7, and then B is going to be the next one. See, A plus 1, because A is 0. B is going to be 1, because 0 plus 1 is 1, right? So B is starting out 1 in front. So yeah, so this is how we're looping through it. We're going to loop through the outer one and the inner one, and then this is how you're checking it. So this first check is going to be the 7 equal 2. No. Okay, we're going to keep going. And it's going to keep going until you get to this 7, right? And then we're going to say, okay, does 7 equal 7? It does. Okay, so now we are going to add to this array a pair. In this case, it's going to be another array of 2 items. And in this array, we're keeping the indices. Which in this case, this is what the indices end up being. They iterate through the indices, right? So it's going to be A and B, and that's it. And then when this is all done, we go through here and we console log the pairs, and that's it. That's all there is. So let's run it and see. Okay, so let's try 1, 2, and 1. So in this case, our output should be 0 and 2 only. So let's see if that's true. Yep, and there's 0 and 2. If you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comments, and I will try to get to them as soon as I can. And feel free to answer each other's questions and help each other out as well. All right, thanks.